Hello everyone, it's been a long time away, but I'm back in iRacing and I'm back with a bang. It's a fast and frantic 12-minute sprint around Summit Point in the Formula 1600 Rookie Sim Motion Series, and I'll be starting from P7 on a grid of 12. Can I fight my way through the pack to challenge for a podium? Let's find out.
Green.
Here we go then, my first iRacing outing in more than 4 months is underway. We are go at Summit Point. I didn't get the best launch as the lights went green, but it doesn't matter too much because the pack in front are 3 wide as we hurtle towards turn 1. I've got Brian Culverwell to my left. Culverwell actually taking 7th position. He started alongside me on the 4th row, but was far more alert when those lights went green. He had a much quicker getaway and he's picked up a position. Behind, I've got Jorge Corbus having a sniff. Thankfully, we've stayed ahead of Corbus. I didn't want him on the inside coming into this left-hander, and we've lost Corbus in the rearview mirror. I just saw a cloud of smoke, so all of a sudden I've got a bit of breathing room behind me. But I'm certainly not going to push too hard on this opening lap, not while the tyres are cold. There is precious little grip out there as we approach the carousel. There are 2 cars on the grass to the right, and that is 2 of the front runners we've lost. One of them was Victor Ushi, who qualified P2. The other driver involved was Oliver Saylor, who started from 5th on the grid. So that incident has put me up into P6. Right, let's check out the replay to see exactly what happened. This is coming out of turn 1. Watch the dark green car behind me. That's Jorge Corbus, and he just gets collected from behind by Felix Zimmerman. I was actually really lucky not to get taken with him there. On to the next corner then. This is the battle for the lead. Pole sitter Jason Goff leading the way. Victor Ushi in that number 12 car is breathing down his neck, but Ushi runs a bit too wide into the carousel. He clips the grass on the left. That stops him from braking when he needs to, and he runs right into Oliver Saylor. On board with Saylor now. Really unlucky for him. He's already climbed from 5th to 3rd, but he's got nowhere to go here. He just runs out of track as Ushi drifts wide. Now Saylor does really well to keep him facing in the right direction. He rejoins quickly, but not quick enough to get back on track before I get past. Right, back to the live action. We're just coming to the end of this first lap, and shortly we'll get confirmation on the leaderboard that I am in fact up into 6th position. So I've gained 1 place from where I started on the grid. But it's only going to get tougher now. Saylor is just 0.7 of a second behind. Now he was several tenths quicker than me in qualifying, so he is going to be challenging very soon. Big incident in turn 1 in front. That was Mark Walsh and Travis McCorn crashing out 3rd and 4th place out of this race. So all of a sudden I find myself up into P4 on the fringes of a podium. But look in the rearview mirror, look how close Saylor is now, just 0.3 of a second behind. But there's contact between Saylor and Zimmerman. It looks like we've lost Saylor. We might have lost Zimmerman as well. Well, everything is going my way in this race at the moment. Watch the 3rd place driver. That's Mark Walsh, the red number 10. He's under attack from Travis McCorn, but they lock wheels and Walsh spins around. So that promoted me up into P4. It also allowed Oliver Saylor to close right in. However, Saylor just loses the rear into that left-hander. Then there's contact with Felix Zimmerman, and the pair of them crash out spectacularly. On board with Zimmerman. Saylor ahead sideways, so Zimmerman goes right, but there's just not space as Saylor comes back across and Zimmerman hits the barrier hard. Right, back to the live action at the start of lap 4. I've got right onto the tail of Brian Culverwell now, but I'm struggling to find a way through. I certainly feel like I've got a bit more pace than the car in front, but Culverwell is driving flawlessly. So I feel like I may be being held up just a little bit by Culverwell now, and that is certainly playing into the hands of the 2 drivers behind. They are both closing in fast now. Matthew Parker in 5th, just 0.5 of a second back, and Angelo Gumas just 1 second back. So as we approach half race distance, who knows how this one is going to end up, or just get caught out by Culverwell's braking. That allows Parker to have a sniff up the inside out of nowhere. Oh, things are starting to get frisky now. I am in a proper battle. Right, let's jump forward a lap, and that close shave with Parker is at the forefront of my mind as I approach the same section of track again. So I'm going to take a more defensive line into this upcoming left-hander. I'm going to get on the brakes on the inside. However, I almost miscalculate it. I've got no choice but to lock up. That has invited Parker to run around the outside. He's now got his nose up the inside as we come through this right-hander. I've got to leave him space, but at the same time, I've got to try and fight for this 4th position. I've just about managed to hold him off, but this is getting really tight now. And look at Culverwell. He has cleared off. Right, let's take another look at this. My thinking was that if I closed off the inside, I'd not only get closer to Culverwell, but I'd also deny Parker the opportunity to make a move himself, but it didn't quite work out like that. I was honestly terrified I was going to T-bone Culverwell. Then I locked up, but somehow survived. Right, back to the live action at the end of lap 6. And I've already managed to close back in on Culverwell, so it's pretty much as you were. Culverwell 0.4 of a second ahead, Parker just 0.1 of a second behind, and he is looking menacing now. For a moment I thought he might try and force his way down the outside, but he suddenly switched, and he is now going to make a move up the inside to take 4th position. There's a bit of contact as I brush my nose against the rear of Parker's car, but we're okay, no damage, no instant points. However, we are down into 5th position. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't try harder to defend on that previous lap. Well, I'm taking a bit of a gamble here. When I was behind Brian Culverwell, I just couldn't see how I was going to find a way past, so I'm giving Parker the opportunity. If I'd started fighting for 4th with Parker, Culverwell would have cleared off, so at least this way both of us are still in contention for a podium. And as I say that, Parker locks up. Parker hasn't made the corner, he's out onto the gravel, so I am back up into P4, back in hot pursuit of Brian Culverwell. Only this time I've got no pressure from Parker behind. He is now 2 seconds back. Okay, so that plan didn't work out quite the way I was expecting it to, but I'll take it, because now I am in a straight shootout for the podium with Brian Culverwell, and we're still going to get another 2 laps after this one. So can I find a way past the car in front? Can I get into the top 3 on my return to iRacing? Well, if I am, I'm certainly going to have to be a bit more attacking than I was in the early stages of this race. I'm going to have to make something happen over these final 2 laps. I'm as close as I've ever been to Culverwell now, and if I can just stay this close onto the start-finish straight, there may be an opportunity to pass into T1, although I might not even have to wait that long, because I've got a tremendous drive up over the brow of the hill into the final turn, and I've made the pass. I've snatched 3rd position from Culverwell, and with 2 laps to go, I can smell a podium here at Summit Point. So yeah, I've climbed from 5th up to 3rd on this 8th lap. Let's check out the replay, starting with Parker's mistake into T1. He just leaves it a bit too late to brake. He locks up the fronts and he's out onto the gravel. So that put me up into P4 and in hot pursuit of Culverwell. Then at the end of the lap, it was all about momentum. My plan was actually to build enough of it up to make the pass down the start-finish straight, but when the opportunity presented itself going into the final turn, I couldn't not take it, and I pulled it off perfectly. I'm up to 3rd, Culverwell down to 4th, and that is how it stayed. We're rejoining the live action at the very last corner on the final lap, and I've done exactly what I needed to do. I've managed to keep myself just far enough ahead of Culverwell and Parker to avoid them challenging. So I take the checkered flag in 3rd, Culverwell takes 4th, 0.4 of a second back, Parker takes 5th, 0.8 of a second back. Absolutely delighted with that finish. Here are the classified results then, and look at that, not an incident point between the top 4. It was incredibly clean at the front, maybe not quite so clean at the back, but I managed to drive smartly enough in those early stages to avoid the danger. Look at my fastest lap in the race as well, a 1:16.3, so really competitive, actually quicker than Lotte Valtao in 2nd place. So a really successful return to iRacing this was. I always seem to go well at Summit Point. If you remember here last year, I had an absolute cracker in the Mazda. If you haven't seen that race before, you can check it out on screen now. It was one of my best performances of 2023. As always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you again on the grid very soon. Cheers.